Edition of Newswatch. Tonight we will give you some updated information regarding the shooting that happened in Campustown this past weekend.
And you won't want to miss what Iowa State researchers are working on to detect if you're lying or not.
And I'll be throwing all kinds of sports your way, along with a recap of last night's overtime nail-biter between the Red Raiders and Iowa State men's basketball.
And we have another record-breaking day in store for us tomorrow, but a cool down is on the way. I'll have the full forecast. Newswatch starts now.
Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your night and week. Stay classy, Cyclones.
Welcome to Newswatch. I'm Hunter Smith.
And I'm Taylor Mankle. Thank you for joining us.
Ames Police released new information in a weekend shooting in the Campustown area. Officers with the Ames Police Department were sent in around 1:30 Sunday morning to the area near Stanton Avenue and Chamberlain Street on reports that a fight had broken out. Shortly thereafter, police said two people in a red car stopped in the 200 block of Welch Avenue and fired shots into a crowd of people. According to police, Nerone Willie Cole Jr. of Fort Dodge, Antoine Gordon of Fort Dodge, and Kyle Heaton of Ames were struck by that gunfire from the car. Ames police said two officers fired upon the suspect's vehicle. 4 men were later arrested in connection with the shooting. Terrion Maxfield and Desmond Sinner, both of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, were found at a Fort Dodge hospital with gunshot wounds. The men have been arrested and charged with attempted murder. After further investigation, officials arrested Charles Smith and Travion D. Henry, also of Milwaukee. They were charged with attempted murder and aiding and abetting. Anyone with information relating to this incident is encouraged to contact the Ames Police Department at 239-5133.
An Iowa State professor in information systems is finding new ways to tell if you're lying. John D. DeVries and researchers here at Iowa State are using neuroscience lab equipment with eye-tracking technology and an EEG machine to watch the movements of a person's eyes. These can heavily improve the odds of telling if someone is telling the truth versus lying. The science goes much deeper than averting looking into someone's eyes or maintaining eye contact for a long period of time. These technologies help decipher the probability of if one is lying through subtle unconscious cues the body and eyes give. This technology is hoped to one day be implemented into online interviewing.
Fire crews were called to a fire at the West Des Moines Wells Fargo campus early this morning. The fire was reported just before 5 a.m. at 870 West Wells Fargo Trail. When crews arrived, thick black smoke was found inside of one of the buildings. The fire did spread to other floors of the building. Crews were rotated in and out, and they worked to make sure that the fire was completely extinguished. They also ventilated the building to get rid of the smoke. The campus contains several interconnected buildings, and some early arriving employees were evacuated to the outside of the building. Approximately 7,000 people work for Wells Fargo at the West Des Moines campus. The cause of the fire is still unknown at this time. No injuries were reported.
They say nothing rides like a deer, and the relationship with John Deere and Iowa State University just got even closer. The company that has had a mainstay here at Iowa State for years just released and will be opening a strategic technology office within the university. This is in hopes to grow the company's presence on campus and to recognize the university's world-class research, education, and talent development. The office will allow many Iowa State students to participate in work with the company while still in undergrad and graduate programs.
A man believed to be robbing an apartment was shot in the chest on Monday afternoon in southeast Des Moines. Police later confiscated $30,000 in cash, a firearm, and drugs from the apartment. When officers arrived, bystanders alerted them that the victim had run into an adjacent building. The gunshot victim is expected to survive, and officers have not located the shooter. The Narcotics Division recovered an SKS rifle, ammunition, and about 1.5 pounds of marijuana and cocaine.
On Monday, February 13th, the Iowa State Capitol filled with public employees. They packed the rotunda to protest legislation aimed at curbing their collective bargaining rights.
Iowa Republican legislators want the legislation because they say public sector workers in Iowa receive overly generous benefits.
The rally was held as Iowa lawmakers heard public comments in another room with limited seating capacity. Governor Terry Branstad signed the legislation into law Friday of the same week. It strips public sector unions of the ability to negotiate for most benefits like health insurance. Those affected include some public university and community college employees. Robert Smith is a maintenance worker at the University of Northern Iowa.
When people retire and we need to hire new people, we have a problem getting new people to come in because the wages are lower. You know, and most people that I've talked to, they work there for the benefits, the health care. The wages are lower, so it offsets it. It makes it better to raise a family with the health care.
One Iowa professor who teaches in a rural community also has concerns.
We'll have a hard time finding good qualified people that will not go out to the highest bidder. And Iowa Falls is a rural area compared to some of the Des Moines area and larger towns. The teachers will leave to be paid well.
Graduate students at the University of Iowa are unionized. A group of them made the trip together.
We pay taxes! We pay taxes!
What made us form a union in the first place, us graduate students, was that we were worried we didn't have health insurance at all. We didn't have tuition coverage either. We unionized and we got the university to agree to it. We asked the university for a public guarantee there would be no cuts to graduate worker benefits, and they have yet to give us that guarantee.
At Iowa State University, graduate students, professors, and lecturers say they don't have a union. However, the union ASME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, counts other Iowa State staff among its 40,000 Iowa members. In Des Moines with ISU TV, I'm Mary Kahn.
Coming up after the break, hear about the riots that have broken out in Stockholm, Sweden following Trump's immigration comments.
Stay tuned. You're watching Newswatch. Memos Tuesday morning that could expand the number of immigrants detained or deported as part of the administration's crackdown on undocumented immigrants in the U.S. The memos are intended to implement President Trump's immigration actions from last month and enforce existing immigration laws. One of the provisions suggests that individuals apprehended in the U.S. and deemed inadmissible would need to prove that they have been in the U.S. continuously for 2 years. Otherwise, they could be subject to expedited removal with no court proceeding. The plan also attempts to deter the arrival of unaccompanied children who have come over the border to the U.S. from Mexico and Central America over the last 3 years. Under the new policies, their parents could be prosecuted if they are found to have paid smugglers to bring the children across the border.
A neighborhood of Stockholm, Sweden has seen backlash in the days following Trump's comments on the danger of immigrants in the country. Riots broke out Monday night in some immigrant-heavy areas of the city after police arrested a suspect in a crowd formed. These demonstrators come mere days after Trump blamed the slight increase in crime in Sweden on the immigrants the socialist country has brought in for refuge. Cars were set ablaze, windows were smashed, and shots were even fired by police during these riots. Further investigation is diving into the unrest in immigrant-heavy areas of the city, but many believe the president's comments were a tipping point.
A chartered plane crashed in an Australian mall, killing all 5 people that were on board. 3 men in particular that were on board were a co-founder of a law firm, a retired CEO, and a former FBI agent, while the 4th passenger has yet to be identified. Investigators are currently trying to investigate what went wrong. Facts about the 3 identified victims continue to emerge and are making headlines, such as the retired CEO had expressed to people how nervous he was to fly prior to his departure. The former FBI agent had just recently taken a second chance at love, and the co-founder of a law firm had just began his retirement.
The Supreme Court will hear a case regarding the death of a Mexican teen in 2010. Sergio Hernandez, who was 15 at the time, was shot and killed by a Border Patrol agent while playing a game with friends. The agent was on the U.S. side of the border, while Hernandez was on the Mexico side. The Hernandez family sued the agent in district court, but the case was dismissed. After 7 years of waiting, the Hernandez family will finally be heard by the Supreme Court and hope to get justice for their son.
Medical examiners are calling for more tests in the autopsy of Russian ambassador to the United Nations, Vitaly Churkin. Churkin died suddenly on Monday at the age of 64. He was the longest-serving ambassador on the UN Security Council, which is the UN's most powerful council. The medical examiner does test for deaths ruled an accident, suicide, or unusual considering the victim's health. President Trump issued a statement regarding Churkin's achievements as a diplomat. Russia has not yet released when Churkin's funeral will be.
Several hundred people protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline are under a court order to leave by Wednesday. Activists began their protest last August in a bid to halt the $3.8 billion pipeline that will carry oil from North Dakota through South Dakota and Iowa to Illinois. Work on the last major section of the pipeline began this month following the Army Corps of Engineers' permission to lay pipe under a reservoir near the Missouri River. The protests have been led by Native American tribes whose reservations are downstream from the construction site. They say the pipeline threatens drinking water and cultural sites. The camp has been the site of numerous clashes between police and protesters, with more than 700 arrests being made. The camp's population has dwindled as the pipeline battle has moved into the courts. Protesters who remain say they're prepared to be arrested, but will remain peaceful.
And how about this weather lately, Taylor? I mean, just incredible out
Absolutely.
right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's beautiful.
I went out to Central Campus and just laid out and I tanned a bit today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can see the colors coming back to our own Hunter Smith. It's going to be a great time to do so, and we'll see if this weather will continue after the break. Our own Jan Ryherd will have more.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Meteorologist Jan Ryherd here with you. We had another record-breaking day here in Ames, and quite a few records broken across the state, and we've got that in store for tomorrow as well, with the temperatures even a little bit higher than these. So our highs today, 68 in Des Moines, 64 here in Ames. The old record was 62 degrees, but right now we are sitting at 50 degrees. Those light south-southwest winds out there, and across the rest of the state, mid to low 50s. And clear skies, and those will continue into tonight and through the day tomorrow. So lots of sunshine in store for us tonight, or tomorrow as we go through the day. We do, however, have a winter storm advisory starting to come into the state, and that's going to be playing a role come Friday. So that cold weather is coming back to us for sure as we take a look and time that out. So we do have those sunny skies tomorrow, a few passing clouds throughout the day, perhaps those high cirrus clouds, but as we then start to get into Thursday, that's when this snow out to the west starts to come in, and that will be tracking across the northwestern part of the state and through Minnesota. It is still a little bit far out to see that exact tract, but right now here in Ames, we aren't expecting too much snow from the system. Tonight, those lows are going to be in the low to mid 40s, and highs tomorrow, 70s returning to the state. 73 is the expected high there in Des Moines here in Ames. We're looking in the low 70s, and Thursday, that's when we really start to see that cold weather coming in. So 54 the high in Des Moines on Thursday, 47 up in Fort Dodge, and then on Friday, temperatures are just going to be dropping throughout the day. We'll see temperatures in the 30s for much of the day on Friday. Tonight in Ames, we will see a low of 42, clear and calm. Not too exciting for our night, and then tomorrow 68 looking like our high. One last day of warmth, so get out there and enjoy it while you can. Then looking at the next 7 days, we do have those rain chances returning on Thursday. Friday morning looks to be rainy and turning over into snow as we go through the day on Friday, and that sharp cool down as we have 50s Thursday, 30s back in the forecast for Friday. And then we start to see a few more seasonable temperatures as we go through the rest of the week, looking a little bit more like February. Stay tuned, there'll be more news after the break.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Kobe Gaines with your sports report. The 66th NBA All-Star Game was this past weekend. The West beat the East in a high-flying game. The score is 192 to 182. It includes superstars like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and the hometown kid, Anthony Davis. It was a record-breaking game with 8 records that were broken. Anthony Davis broke 3 of those records, including most points in the game, most shot attempts, and most shots made. Anthony Davis went for 52 points. He made 26 shots out of 39 attempts. You could say he was planning his spot in All-Star Game history. The only problem behind the game was the competitive level of play went down. Fans and past players are stressing to the athletes of now to give their all and show the world why they are the best athletes in the world. Iowa State had a nail-biting overtime win in Lubbock, Texas on Monday night, beating Texas Tech 82 to 80 to earn the team's 4th straight win. Senior Monte Morris led the way with 23 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. The team stuck to their game plan of firing the ball from behind the arc. The team shot 50% from the three. With the win, the Cyclones are now tied for second place in the Big 12 Conference, with West Virginia, who Iowa State plays next Friday in Morgantown to wrap up their season. For the Cyclones' next game, they will take on number 9 Baylor this Saturday at Hilton Coliseum. These next few games are key for Iowa State to cement a top spot for the Big 12 tournament. Let's go, boys. Iowa State announced Monday afternoon the hiring of Kevin Dresser as the new Iowa State wrestling coach. Dresser's success at Virginia Tech makes him a very promising coach. As part of his 11 seasons at Virginia Tech, Dresser had a record of 160 wins and 51 losses. The team earned 2 ACC tournament championships in the seasons of 2012 to 14 and 3 ACC dual championships in the seasons of 2014 to 17. Dresser was announced the National Wrestling Coaches Association Coach of the Year in 2016. Dresser is ready to bring his coaching skills to Iowa State and take the wrestling program to new heights. The Iowa State women's basketball team took on West Virginia this past Saturday in Hilton Coliseum. The last time these two teams met, the Cyclones easily defeated the Lady Mountaineers 80-55. This time around, it was no different, as Iowa State took this one 68-53 to complete the season sweep. Jada Buckley led the team in scoring and came out with 20 points and 8 assists. The Cyclones are in action right now as they take on the Jayhawks in Lawrence, Kansas. Keep it up, Cyclones. This past weekend, Hilton Coliseum, the Iowa State gymnastics team grabbed a win in a tri-meet against Illinois State and Gustavus Adolphus. In their final home meet of the season, the Cyclones took first place in the meet with a final score of 195.625. With that one, the Cyclones made it into the top 25 as they're 24th in the nation. Sophomore Haley Young performed at the top of her game and scored a season high of 39.425 to take first place in the all-arounds. Young continues to climb the rankings as she moved to 12th in the nation and 5th in the Big 12. You go, girl. Next, the team will head to West Virginia for another tri-meet against West Virginia and Maryland at noon Central Time. That's all I have for your sports report. Be sure to stay tuned to hear about how nest watching season is upon us. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Newswatch.
In a galaxy not so far away, filming has begun on the untitled Han Solo Star Wars film. The film will star Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, Amelia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, and Thandai Newton. The story will follow Solo and his adventures while running into other rogue Lando Calrissian. Harrelson is rumored to be playing Solo's mentor in the forthcoming film, and it will hit theaters May 25th, 2018. May the Force be with all of you.
The president of Iceland threw a political bomb in his speech. Jóni Jóhannesson was asked a lighthearted question about his thoughts about pineapple as a pizza topping. Jóhannesson replied that he would pass a bill to ban pineapple as a pizza topping if he had power to pass laws on his own. And quite frankly, I don't blame him one bit.
You don't blame him, really, Hunter?
Not one
I'll tell you what. Well, I'm apparently at the minority here, but I think pineapple is the best topping you can put on a pizza.
I can't agree.
Insane.
Well, I mean, it depends on the pizza. You've got, I think, like an original crust pizza is good, but you can't put that on deep dish. That's just a disrespect to Chicago. But I believe pineapple, it changes the flavor so much. And normally you got all those meats and whatnot, but if you put that sweet taste of pineapple, it'll be good times. It'll be good times. Just trust me, trust me. That's all we have here on this edition of Newswatch.
Be sure to stay tuned next Tuesday for more news, weather, and sports.
Enjoy the beautiful weather while it lasts and have a great rest of your night, Ames.